Hey everybody, this week I wanted to do my mandated reporting from the state of Oklahoma. I had to do a little bit of research and also talk with everyone here at work just to make sure I had everything, all the knowledge for Oklahoma, being that I just moved here. Oklahoma states that any adult has to report any sign of physical, mental, sexual abuse, neglect, or abandonment. It is required by law. If you fail to report any of those, you can have a misdemeanor. And if you have prolonged knowledge, which is 6 months or more, and do not report it, that is a felony. So they do take it quite seriously from any person in the state of Oklahoma. So abandonment, that's something I kind of wanted to go over because there was a part in there that kind of was like, aha, you know it, but you may not think of it. And so it was a good refresher. So obviously physical abandonment, where someone actually leaves a child on their own to fend for themselves, or any incapacitated adult. A lot of times we think of the elderly, but also anyone who has a mental or physical disability that is incapacitated or impaired to take care of their own well-being. It could be financial, physical, mental well-being, but also abandonment by intent of words is also something that should be reported. And that I knew that, but I guess I just never really thought about it. I always thought about the physical side. So I think that was a good refresher to think that if someone says they have intent to abandon or intent to not care for, that is also needs to be reported. Neglect, obviously, they are not able to provide food, water, shelter, or hygiene products and choose not to for the kid or vulnerable adult. And then obviously physical, mental, and sexual abuse. The process here in Oklahoma is to call and report to the DHS Health 1-800 number. They give you a claim number, and you just really need to give as much information as possible so they're able to follow up. A lot of times here we have our clients through the ATS school program or in our shelter. Usually in our shelter they already have a DHS caseworker, so usually that's just reported to the caseworker. But in some of our other programs, when the kids come in, we do not allow them to go home. So that kind of if it's with a parent or someone that they go directly to, this kind of gets DHS involved a little bit quicker than if the kiddo was to go home and then they follow up within 30, 60, 90 days. This kind of gets them to come, make sure that there's not an immediate threat. And again, that's always if it's abuse with the person that they live with in the home, if it's someone else. And then we also do ask DHS if we are to hold the child or not. And depending on the level of severity, they might say yes or no. So that's kind of how that has worked here. I have had to do a report here since being in an internship. I did a video about it in our last class. My fear in reporting is that those kiddos will go home. So in this particular case, it was a father who was being accused of physical abuse towards and emotional abuse towards his child. He did have some marks, but said it was from a bike, but he had other things that he had talked about. And so we decided not to send him home on the bus because he would be going directly home to the dad. The DHS worker came. She said that there has been 6 other claims from teachers, whatever, that the student has reported it, but they really weren't going to do anything about it, and they were going to let him go home. Well, in the parking lot, the dad was there, and we were walking with the kids outside, just getting him some fresh air because this process took about 4 hours, so he was getting a little antsy. And the car was outside with the dad in it, and the kiddo was walking inside, and you saw the dad just point at him. And that really was kind of unsettling, and that was kind of my fear, that if DHS doesn't do anything and they are being abused and the kiddo is trusting to tell us and nothing happens, could they go home and get abused more or punished for that? So that was kind of an eye-opening experience and kind of validated my fear. So I just kind of led with and talked with my supervisors about we can do anything in our power, and that's all we can do. and it's important that we report, not investigate. And that's DHS's job. So we did all that we could, and we offered services for him to come back and have counseling services, which he is engaged in. So that's really good. But that is my number one fear with reporting. I'd like to know what your guys' fear are, if you guys have had that fear and how you have dealt with it, or any situations that were kind of similar. Other than that, that's all I have. Hope you all have a good week.